What's really good, beautiful people? If you can hear the sound of my voice, that means you are locked into another episode of Casual Friday on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. Like this video if you love what you're hearing. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend to tell a friend that we are here on a Friday evening to talk Knicks basketball. Shout out to the chat. Y'all already loaded up and ready to go in there. So I see y'all getting ready. We're here. Special edition of Casual Friday. All-Star edition of Casual Friday. And if we're talking All-Stars, had to have my brother Mensa on to talk about these latest developments. Mensa, how you feeling, bro?
Bro, I'm feeling as good as I felt all season. Not even gonna lie. Especially with all the, I want to say New York, we defeated the allegations. We beat the allegations. We got two guys in the All-Star game as starters. And that, is just so important because we got to enjoy this journey, man. So I'm ready to chop it up with you.
Yes, sir. So tell me how the vibes are so far for you, man. I know you said you feeling good, but let's start it off. This All-Star edition. How are the vibes for you?
I mean, the vibes are great, bro. I mean, look, we all know that this is the most disappointing 12 games over 500 Knicks team of our lifetime because everybody wants to see the Knicks, whether it's the minutes or whether it's the defense or whether it's OG Anunoby's recent slump or Mikal Bridges coming in and out of a funk or whatever. You can have 21 different reasons to be disappointed with the way the Knicks season is going on, but it's kind of good to get that moment, that time when we can recenter ourselves on this is a team that we can be proud of. We are the only team in the NBA with two starters in the All-Star game. The Knicks have 20% of the All-Star starters. That's a lot of equity right there because you only got 10 slots. The Knicks have two. Nobody has more than one. That is great. That is awesome. And our guys deserve it, top three team in the Eastern Conference behind Boston and Cleveland, who look like wagons. They look great. But as a team that's just coming together and they're still gelling, you see that there's so much potential, and it's good for our guys to get honored in a way where they were tops in player votes, they were tops in media votes, and in fan votes. And it's just good that they're being universally honored. And that's something that we as Knicks fans, at least in my lifetime, have never been able to experience. It's the first time it's happened since 1975, the last pair of
50
Knicks.
50 years.
It's
been 50
literally
years since a pair of Knicks started. 50.
Like, just think about that, right? So it's good to finally see our guys at the top of the mountain. I think Tommy Beer or somebody, I forgot who tweeted it out last night, but I wanted to just bring this up, where when Leon Rose got the job, he didn't have the two best players in New York City. Now he has two of the five best players in the Eastern Conference, and that's something to be very proud of. So the vibes are excellent, man. I'm so pumped, and I'm so happy for our guys.
Same here, man. Ditto. For me, the vibes are illustrious. Because in all the stars in the sky, I see two shining brightly that's going to be representing the East in the All-Star game, and Jaylen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. And I totally get it. And we're going to talk about the Knicks season up to date and everything like that. We're going to go on this All-Star victory lap real quick. But I totally get where the expectations are and why people have felt the way they felt about this team. But just like I follow a simple mantra, man. Only one team can win. And while your team is winning, you better celebrate every moment. You can be critical. You can be down on certain areas. But overall, don't try to be, especially when your team ain't won a championship in decades, this is not the time to be trying to uphold some unforeseen, unattainable standard of perfection. You can have a standard of excellence, but at the same time, you got to enjoy it. Think about all of the great franchises. Like the Spurs were the model franchise for the 21st century. They won 5, but they didn't win every year. When it got commonplace for them to win 50 games, 40 games, be in the top 4 seeds and make the playoffs every year, regardless of what was going on, regardless if there was a play-in or a playoffs, like they were getting in, right? Like that was their standard. But you got to enjoy this. You got to enjoy this. You'll see Knicks fans talk about the lean years and who they had to root for in the Knicks jersey. Why not celebrate? Why not y'all? Why not pay homage to a front office and a team that has assembled a group of players and two from free agency and trade separately that joined this team, wasn't drafted as part of this team. These were acquisitions. And these two players are now two of the five starters, overcame media and all of the Knicks for clicks, media bias, that sentiment change. Got the respect of the players, got the respect of the fans amongst everything else. So I think this is just a large time to celebrate. And speaking of large, we could talk about the first All-Star. I'm calling the Kobe ISO for Mensa. I'm calling for the advocate. I'm calling the ISO for him. 5-time now All-Star, Karl Anthony Towns.
Is it Karl Anthony Towns or is it Booker T? 5-time. Let's go, man. You guys know me by now. Like on any platform I get, I do my best to shout out Karl Anthony Towns. I think he has come to New York, and look, the bar was low for him. He just had to be better than Julius Randle. Well, and look, Julius Randle, 3-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, big shoes to fill. But for a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, first overall pick in the 2015 draft, I remember we all thought we were going to get him, and then Maurice Endauer decided to Maurice Endauer, which was awesome. 10 years ago, all behind us. But this is a guy who has come here and has not just elevated the team, because you see what we look like without him, but he has also brought an extra, almost like sort of authenticity to New York that we really haven't seen. He's repping for all the Dominicans in New York, right? He's, especially with the slam cover, with the Yatu Sabe and all that stuff. Like, he's really just, he has all the Knicks gear. He like plays 90s basketball in the, 90s hip hop, and like Dipset, like golden era hip hop in the locker room. And it just kind of brings a vibe and a grittiness to a team that honestly needs it, because these are guys, like people call them the, not the Super Friends, not the Villanova crew, but like college roommates that move to New York kind of a thing for the Villanova guys, where they're kind of like buddy, but not necessarily like rugged. Karl Towns, surprisingly enough, has brought some of that. And it's not just on the culture side of it, but Karl Towns is dominant for this team in two facets, right? He's a dominant scorer, and he brings spacing and gravity, but he's also dominant on the glass. And I don't think anybody could have seen that coming. I think he's still leading the NBA in rebounds. I'm going to check that really quickly. No, he's not leading, but he's currently averaging 13.9 rebounds a game. And his dominance on the defensive glass and the offensive glass, I think he's the best.
Sabonis just edged him out, or is just edging him out because of them games that he missed and whatnot.
Right. And honestly, like I tweeted this before, but when Karl Towns does not get into foul trouble, he's putting up Jokic numbers. It's unbelievable how dominant this guy has been for the Knicks. I think that through the first half of the season, he has been the Knicks' best player. Are there obviously flaws to his game? Yes, but who cares? I don't care that there are flaws to his game, because he has brought an element to this team that we've been sorely lacking. He's kind of brought this offense into the 21st century with the spacing. And I do have my own issues with the amount of 3-point attempts that we've been shooting and everything, but just the potential for what he brings to this team and what we're doing with him. 25-14 for Karl Anthony Towns, shooting he has an EFG of 608, which is absurd. Shooting 43.3% from the 3-point line. He's averaging 59% from 2-point range. The guy's just dominant, and he's gotten that assists up to over 3. He's at 3.5 assists a game. It's just like, what more could you ask from Karl Anthony Towns that he isn't already giving you? And I feel like he has not just started his Knicks career on the right foot, but he's come out the gate sprinting and guns a-blazing, and it's been such a wonderful experience watching him play basketball. It feels like he's starting to get the foul woes behind him, but like you were saying earlier about the Spurs and how they have how they took, like, they won 5, but it took them year in and year out. They didn't always win, but you could feel like the way they were gelling and the way that they continued their excellence, right? The Knicks are at the beginning of that. We don't know if the Knicks are going to win 1 or 2 or 3. We don't know how many championships the Knicks are going to win, but we do know the championships are not won overnight. This is a team that just came together, and I'm just excited to see where they go and how they take it. But Karl-Anthony Towns, man, there's really nothing more that you can say about him, especially when you see what's going on in Minnesota. But we're not here to talk about Minnesota. We're here to talk about the Knicks, man. And Karl Towns has been an excellent Knicks so far.
Yeah, I know you said that there's really not much we can say, but I'm going to find a few more words because I look at this dude's history, right? Won the Rookie of the Year in 2016, two-time All-NBA, of course, Rookie of the Year and All-Rookie, four-time All-Star. And, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yo, he right now, well, 5 with this year. So 5 out of the 10 years he's been in the league, he's made an All-Star. And I think about the guys who've gone number 1 overall and who had the Rookie of the Years and those accolades where when Cat came into the league, he was leading a lot of those polls where they voted on the player that you would start a team with today. And I was thinking about it and I was like, yo, it's kind of crazy that with now he's only made the All-Star game 5 out of 10 years. Then I checked his history. The 3 years, so rookie year and then his sophomore year, he didn't make it. That's whatever. Like usually super transcendent players, they'll get there in the second year. He also was in the Western Conference, which says a lot. Like you dealing with at that time, you got KD in there, you got Draymond in there, I'm thinking about all of the front court players at that time in what would have been 16, 17. Like you think about the landscape, like I believe we're still talking Kawhi. We're still talking all those players at the time that were inhabiting the front court. So it was an uphill battle from there. But then I look at 17, 18, 18, 19. He makes the back-to-back, makes the All-Star game. 29, 20, he doesn't make it. That's also the shortened COVID year. But he was injured. Same thing with 2021. And then he makes it in 21, 22. He makes it in 23, 24. And then 22, 23, he doesn't make it. Mensa, I just realized, other than his sophomore year, the years that he wasn't an All-Star, he was hurt for the first half of the year. So he wasn't eligible. So when he's been able to play, he's made those All-Star teams. There's an argument that he might have been 6-time, 7-time, 8-time that would have helped with his resume. But something that you said really resonated with me. And that's the authenticity that Cat brings to New York. He brought star power to New York. Even if there were questions, even if there were doubts about his personality or his game or whatever, you knew this dude's been an All-Star. He was a Rookie of the Year. He was a number 1 pick, and he's coming to the team. He has a certain amount of gravitas that accompany him. And he met that moment and he exceeded it. I think it's well-deserved. It's well-deserved that he was 3rd place in voting in the East, pulled almost 3 million votes for Dolo. Giannis had 4+ million to lead everybody, but he was on the verge of 3 million votes, I believe. And this dude, you see it. He's making his own MVP case with the Knicks. Where you said 25-14, the record when they're playing with him, when they play with him on the court. When this dude ain't there, it just looks like a completely different team. This is a dude who he's had issues with his fingers this season, not just his thumb. On his left hand, he had like something with his middle finger, and he still keeps finding ways to score. So he gets like an A from me. And the only reason he doesn't get an A+ was because of his adjustments on defense. That's really it. He would have got an A+ from me. And I see enough flashes to where this can become an A+ transaction by the end of the season, because he does have the capability to guard people on the perimeter, does have the active hands, just got to be more decisive. Just got to be more decisive about it and be serviceable, a little bit above serviceable. And it's a home run, man. So he earned it. He earned this All-Star selection. He earned his All-Star starter position. I do think he is the second best center in the league behind Jokic. Definitely within the top 5. If you want to throw Giannis in there, players 6'10" and over, Giannis in there, Jokic in there, AD in there, all these players. He's the S tier right now for big men in the league. And everything has been well earned. So I'm extremely proud that he was able to garner his 5th All-Star selection.
5th All-Star selection and first time as a starter. And it's just like you're saying, man.
Right.
It's and I want to touch back on the authenticity thing because he's not necessarily like, he's not a throwback player. He's not like Charles Oakley or Anthony Mason. He's not one of those guys, or John Starks, guys who are tougher than their talent, right? Karl Towns is himself. And I think that when you come to New York, that's all we want, because we can smell a fake from a mile away, right? Like, we can smell when you're phony. Karl Towns is who he is. And sometimes, he's a goof. Sometimes, he's aggressive on the court. Sometimes he's a great teammate. Like, there's so many different layers to Karl-Anthony Towns that we're getting to see firsthand. And I just wanted to point out the year that the sophomore season that you're talking about, that he did not win, that he didn't go to the All-Star game. He only averaged 25 and 12 that year. It's not like he was, he wasn't there. It's just the team didn't quite have that success. It was the first year under Tom Thibodeau, and I think they were like a 27 or a 29 win team in the way the NBA is trending now. If you're not necessarily on a winning team, you don't get an all-star nod. But it's not like Karl Towns was some scrub his second year in the NBA, because team guys like in front offices, we're saying, I don't want Steph, I don't want KD, I don't want LeBron, I want Karl Towns. That was really happening when he first came into the NBA. And we're going to blame Jimmy Butler and a whole bunch of other stuff that went on there. But Karl Towns coming to New York and just changing the connotation around his name. And it's been really beautiful. But we've gone about 17 minutes into this thing, and we have not spoken about our captain, Jaylen Brunson.
No, that's why I wanted to clear it out. I wanted to clear out to get the cat of it all out the way. And I do got to check myself. My man cleared 3 million votes. He's at 3.2. 3.2 million votes. Thank you, New York. Thank you, Minnesota. And also, Let's get into the captain talk, bro. Let's get into the captain talk, because before anything else, because we're going to shout his accolades. Actually, you know what? No, let's talk about it first, because I can see where my stream of consciousness is going to go. So we're good with it. We mentioned it at the top of the show. This dude is the first of all, him and Kat are the first duo of all-star Knicks starting in the game since 1975 with Clyde and Pearl. First, 50 years. This hasn't happened in 50 years. So if you want a measure of progress for this Knicks team, if I told you 5 years ago that within the next 5 years, the Knicks would have 2 all-star starters, you would have thought I was on crack or something stronger. And now look at them. And this is in part from Brunson. This is a dude, Mensa, 22, 23, got jerked out of an all-star spot. 23, 24, got jerked out of all-star starting. 24, 25, the dream is realized. And I think this is a combination of things. But at some point, you can't front on that dude. This is a dude who's elevated his facilitation. He's up. He's like at around a career high or in a career high of assists this season. He's been able to integrate all the new parts with Bridges and Cat into the offense. He's still Jaylen Brunson in the clutch. He's shown those flashes, and he's started off the season slow for him, quote unquote slow for him, to where his 30-point outbursts are commonplace now. It's regular. And now he's finally hit that stride to where he's getting the national respect. He's garnering the respect of the players and the people in the league. Like, he has finally arrived. This dude was a second-round pick, Mensa. This man went from second-round pick to start in the All-Star game. Him and Jokic, well, and a couple other few people who could talk like that. And this is just a testament to a dude who I've watched literally get better and better every year. Just elevated his game and elevated his game and elevated his game to where now he's one of the best players in the league. We're not going to qualify it with point guard. We're not going to qualify it with division. We're not going to qualify it by conference. One of the best players in the league. We're not talking height no more. Funny how that works. He don't got to get lifts in his shoes no more to get respect. He just got to ball out. So shout out to the captain, man, for real.
Slow start for Jaylen Brunson, huh? 26 points a game. Career high, 7.3 assists, shooting 39% from the 3-point range on just under 6 attempts at 5.9 attempts. Effective field goal percentage of a 559, career high 7 free throw attempts per game, which is crazy because to me, Jaylen Brunson is Captain Ethical Hoops. I don't feel like he's this foul grifter the way everybody says he is. That's complete nonsense. And it's just been so wonderful to watch and be witness to the coronation of Jaylen Brunson, just from when he first started here as a New York Knick and how he could not do any wrong. And then second season, when Julius Randle goes out after the first half of the season, and he just expands and elevates his game, literally plays the game until his hand breaks. Like, that's just like, that is so symbolic. Like, I'm dominating you until my hand breaks. Like, literally, that's how symbolic it was. And now this year, all-star starter. I mean, you can't say enough about the guy. You really can't. And I know, like, he's at the point in his career, where it's like, die a hero, live long enough to see yourself become a villain, where he's at a point where even I sometimes joke and I call him 2-point Tony, because every time another team gets 3, he tries to go get 2, or the whole thing where it's like he's not passing enough, or all the things. Like, now he's at the point in his career where he's so successful that we're starting to poke holes in him, right?
Facts.
Like, and that's something that you honestly have to earn that, because to go from, everybody's favorite underdog to now everybody in the city of Philadelphia hates you after you were the last guy to bring them a basketball championship. And you did it twice. So please, Philly, please remember the last time he won a championship was Villanova. But even at the same time, just watching him grow, like the names that 2-3 years ago, would you trade Jaylen Brunson for LaMelo Ball? Would you trade him for Cade? Would you trade him for Dame? All of these guys are now in his rearview mirror. Just to watch the coronation and watch him grow, and not just be the captain of the Knicks, but be the all-star starter at the point guard spot in the Eastern Conference. Like, think about the names that came through Eastern Conference basketball, right? And a lot of it over the last 20 years from the point guard spot, like the names that stick out to me when I think Eastern Conference point guards, I think of guys like Chauncey Billups. I think of guys like Allen Iverson. I think of guys like Kyle Lowry, right? Like, that's who I think when I think Eastern Conference basketball. Tough leadership guys. Kyle Lowry and Chauncey Billups eventually became champions. And was Kyle Lowry the Finals MVP that year? I'm not too sure. I don't remember. But I know Chauncey was the Finals MVP. And two guys that, when the Knicks signed Jaylen Brunson, I remember it was the same year we could have gotten a Kyle Lowry. And I was like, no, let's get the next Kyle Lowry. And a guy who I believe was Jaylen Brunson, who hard-nosed leader, unheralded the same way, because Kyle Lowry, second-round pick. Chauncey Billups, a guy who bounced around the league for a little bit, even though he was taken 3rd overall, bounced around the league a little bit till he found his home in Detroit. And then when Kyle Lowry and even Chauncey Billups, when they got a foothold on teams, they're now beloved in their cities. The same way Chauncey Billups was synonymous with Detroit basketball at one point, and Kyle Lowry was synonymous with Toronto basketball at one point. Jaylen Brunson is now New York basketball, and even Allen Iverson synonymous with Philadelphia basketball. Of course, there are other names in the mix there: Kyrie Irving, Trae Young, you name them, they're there. Jason Kidd, like all these guys, right, that came through. And to be the point guard in the Eastern Conference is really to be like a leader, to be a point guard in the NBA in general. Steph Curry, Steve Nash, Tony Parker.
Magic.
You just think about the names, right? Jaylen Brunson, Zeke. You can just keep going, right? Like John Stockton, right?
Yeah.
There are just so many names of point guards that came through, and Jaylen Brunson's name is now etched alongside theirs because he has his own franchise. He's the captain, all-star starter, all-star 2 years in a row, and this ain't going to be his last. Jaylen Brunson is going to continue to get there and elevate the Knicks along with himself. This isn't just Jaylen Brunson elevating by himself. This is him elevating the Knicks, and that is the mark of a true captain. So bravo to our captain, Jaylen Brunson, on his first all-star nod, and many more to come. First all-star starter nod, many more to come, and we're going to be rocking with him the whole time, whether we poke holes in him or whether we're lifting him up. He's our captain, and we live and die with him.
Casual Friday Live, Mensa, Jeff, and you in the Knicks Film School audience. We talking all-star starters, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jaylen Brunson, locked in. This is how they doing it, bro. This is how they doing it. New York representing 2 times in the All-Star game. Maybe there's more to come. Maybe, who knows? We got to see how the coaches vote. But this is what we're celebrating right now, talking with you, getting your questions. Super chats are appreciated, but not required. If you're on the YouTube channel right now, if you're watching on social, drop in your comments too. I got you, and we will get them all up in the air. You know what's something that I really appreciate about Jaylen Brunson getting this started on Mensa? I appreciate that now we do not have to hear any more false bullshit narratives about New York Knicks fans and how they vote in the All-Star game and how they vote in the fan vote. Brunson needed to get third place in this fan vote because LaMelo was running away with it. The fans want to see LaMelo ball out. And I'm not going to front. If this is about just aesthetics and, who you want to see make breathtaking, highlight real plays, I totally understand. I totally understand why people voted for LaMelo. And we've seen this a whole bunch of times with the new format. So LaMelo cleared folks at number 1. So in order to get that starter nod, it was a must win. It was a must attain third place, at least third place, because otherwise then we get into the weighted system and then the tiebreaker is the fan vote. So shout out to Knicks fans and everybody who supported Brunson. He was about less than 300,000 votes behind Dame before the last week. The last tally before the end, before voting closed on Monday, he was about less than 300,000 votes behind Dame. Ended up clearing Dame by like 120K ish votes for to secure that third place. And hat tip to Wob, Worldwide Wob, who noted in the final tabulation for the All-Star game, LaMelo Ball, if LaMelo Ball would have got 3 more media votes, he'd be starting right now. Because the tie goes to the fan vote. And in the weighted scale, he would have been equal with Brunson. Because Brunson was 3rd in the fan vote, 2nd among players, and 2nd among media. LaMelo, Donovan Mitchell, who also attained the All-Star nod, 1st in the players, 2nd in the fans, and 1st in the media. LaMelo Ball was 3rd in the player rank, 1st in the fan rank, and he was the only. LaMelo was the only Eastern Conference guard to clear 2 million votes. Only one, and he was 7th. His media rank was 7th. So what I'm saying is, had he, let me see, 7, 8, so that's what? 2, 9, 12. Yeah, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So if he would have been, let's see, if he was 5th place, if his media rank was 5th, that would have been 10, 13. Okay, so he would have needed to get 4. 11, what would it have been? 2, 2, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yup. Because that would have been, so he was like 3 votes because he got 3 media votes. Trae Young got 4. Dame got 5. And then Cade Cunningham got 10. So if he would have got a few more, I think he said 3, but it might have been a little bit more than that. Pretty much he was 3 media ranks away from starting this game. Had Brunson got 4th, LaMelo would have been starting because they would have had equal weight. So shout out to the fans. Shout out to every fan that was voting, that was vocal about their voting, who was voting during the votes count 3 times, who continued to push and push and push. Because I know while Brunson has expanded his profile with the podcast and doing the commercials and is getting the recognition and the players' respect and the media respect, while he's doing that, We've said it. Y'all have said it on Casual Friday last year. Shout out to Sean with a W. He said it a bunch of times. This is a casual vote. This is for casual fans. And if you see somebody who has a major following and is getting millions and millions of votes, not taking away from their skill, but they have a big national profile. LaMelo Ball, a lot of young kids and a lot of people who like his game voted. I don't know if that's all of Charlotte. I don't think it's all of Charlotte. I think it's a lot of younger NBA fans want to see LaMelo Ball. And I don't knock it. But so they went out and voted. A lot of folks know Donovan Mitchell from Utah and Cleveland, and he's been balling out. He's had a solid season. That's why he's there. You got dudes, when you got dudes like Giannis and Jokic, and even LeBron, I'll put him up there. Legends, international legends. You need more. You need more of that vote. So I just wanted to say shout out to the fans, because if he would have got fourth place, they would have continued this narrative that Knicks fans didn't show out. So clearly, this was a concerted effort by the fan base to get Brunson as close to first place as possible in the fan vote so that this outcome could happen.
You know, the funny thing about Jaylen Brunson's All-Star candidacy, I think more than anything else, is that he's gotten no help from the national media. They love to, and this is something that a lot of people have been talking about on the internet, about how just like inside the NBA does such a great job of like shitting on the product. They don't big up the product at all. Like the last time Shaq was talking about the Knicks, he was talking about, people think I'm a Knicks hater. I just only get excited about championships. And I'm like, okay, great. So the other 29 teams that you have to talk about on a day-to-day, on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis don't matter to you because you only get excited about the champion. Like that's just the way the NBA is covered by its national partners. Is kind of, it's like, are they watching like basketball, or do they want the NBA to be like a Temu drama? You know, it's not it's not what we deserve as fans, or Tubi drama. I'm sorry, but it's not what we deserve as fans, and especially a guy like Jaylen Brunson, where this quote has like ran through Knicks Twitter at this point, where you have a guy like Brian Windhorst talking about how he's excited and happy that Paolo Banchero has more fan votes than Jaylen Brunson. I'm like, why? Why are you more excited about Jaylen Brunson not getting the recognition that he deserves? Why are we calling Jaylen Brunson a master of the dark arts? Like all of this nonsense, right? But it's been, and it's weird because you would think a guy like Jaylen Brunson, who's literally been a winner everywhere he's been. He was a winner at Villanova. He was winning in Dallas. Last time seen in Dallas, he went to 5 or 6 games in the Western Conference Final against the eventual champion Golden State Warriors, and he's taken the Knicks, and he's won a playoff series both years he's been here, right? And this third year, I'm pretty sure he's going to keep that streak going. He's been a winner everywhere he has been. But we consistently talk about guys like Joel Embiid, who's been on PTO since 2004. You know, like it's just
all his days.
He got his PTO, VTO, holidays. It doesn't matter.
Sick.
He's not coming.
Bereavement, freaking holidays, all of that.
He's got it all. And Jaylen Brunson just shows up to work every single day. I have his assists per game filtered, and I was like, hey, maybe there's going to be some variance here. No, every single year of his NBA career, he's raised his assist profile from 3.2 assists a game as a rookie to now averaging 7.3 assists per game. More than doubled his output on that as a passer from the time he came into the league to now. Jaylen Brunson is the story that everybody should be talking about in the NBA, because we have seen Jaylen Brunson go from being pulled out of an elimination game by his head coach Rick Carlisle, being pulled out of the game, to literally, and I'll never forget this, literally having to be taken out of a basketball game because he broke his hand. That was the only thing that was going to take him out of that game, right? And so Jaylen Brunson has gone from being, the hunter to now being the hunted, and it's not like in the NBA, like obviously the respect level is there for him, but you still have fans talking about, oh, I'd rather have Kyrie Irving, or just yesterday, Cade Cunningham deserves to start. Like it's so crazy how he does not get the respect that he deserves. And I wanted to highlight that because with all of that being said, it is very clearly the Knicks fans who drove Jaylen Brunson straight to the All-Star starting lineup. It was us. We took him straight there because you have guys like Giannis, right? Giannis has fan bases in multiple countries, right? He's got the entirety of Greece voting for him, right? And LaMelo Ball, he played ball in Australia before he came to the NBA, and he's a West Coast kid. Right. So everybody who remembers him from Chino Hills, he's got that West Coast vote. He's got the fan base in Charlotte, and he has Australia voting for him. Right. Jaylen Brunson, like you said, with Dame Lillard and Donovan Mitchell. These guys were all-stars in previous cities, and they didn't leave their cities on bad terms. Like Donovan Mitchell never publicly addressed the trade, never made it nasty when he got out of there. So I'm sure he still has fans in Portland because they were happy with what they got. They got Lauri Markkanen back and 5 draft picks, right? Because he didn't burn any bridges there. Same thing with Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard, the way it played out is he got thrown out by Cronin and those guys, right? So he still has good favor in those places.
They still love him.
Jaylen Brunson was thrown out the door in Dallas, and they got Kyrie Irving there. And because nobody likes Knicks fans, and we love to rub shit in people's faces, like we go to war with Dallas Twitter all the time. We stopped because we obviously lost. They went to the NBA Finals last year, but Jaylen Brunson does not have that support on a national level. He doesn't get it from the national media. And honestly, if you think about like the local coverage, they don't really like him that much either. They hate the team, the local guys, so it really is the fans. And we should absolutely be proud that we got 2 of our guys in there, right? Like even Karl-Anthony Towns, he has some of the Dominican Republic vote. He has votes in Minnesota because guys are watching Julius Randle play and they're like, all right, I'm going to go vote for Cat because
they love him. When you spoke about fan bases who love their players, Portland is always going to love Dame. Utah always going to have love for Donovan, and Minnesota, they powering Cat every year. Like he would have to come out there and piss and Link Minnetonka for them to even consider not voting for him. So I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure. And even just what we've been able to do as a fan base after year in and year out. Oh, Knicks fans don't show up for their players, and we don't do this and we don't do that. Yeah, well, we got 2 starters this year. We're the only team with 2 starters. So Knicks fans, give yourself a pat on the back. Take a shot of wine, please, for us, because you have defeated and beat the allegations. We got 2 all-star starters, and the fan base should absolutely be proud of that.
And I'll also say those negative comments do go a long way towards affecting what happens on the court. That whole calling Jaylen Brunson Dormammu and shit, like that goes to the refs as well. Because now we see he wasn't getting a lot of calls like that before. Yes, he knows how to manipulate to get players in the position where he gets fouled. Majority of the league is doing it. He just does it. He does it with a certain flair and being completely objective. Yeah, it would piss me off if I, the same way like when I watch Trae Young, when I watch SGA, I'm like, oh, come on, man. Y'all gotta get around that. But it isn't to Harden levels. I'll tell you that much. One thing, oh my God, was I so annoyed seeing Harden. Like to the point, I'll never forget watching someone guard Harden with both hands behind their back. Like, yo, and he probably would have even found a way to hook in the chicken wing, right? Like this is this, but it is a skill. And they try to legislate that out the game. And I think what happens is when you try to bring equality, sometimes you over-index on one end, just like the scales. You over-index on one end, then it's imbalanced. Then it's imbalanced until you find the correct amount of pressure to put on either side so that you can gain balance. And I think it's just been ridiculous where you talk about perseverance. Cat and Brunson, especially Cat, with the lack of foul calls, it's been absolutely ridiculous. That game against the Hawks was the worst officiated game I think I've seen as an NBA fan. It's definitely in my 90+ percentile. 4 challenges successful. And then other calls that were wrong. Fouls, just vibes, being called whenever, wherever, however. Campaign gets attacked for being campaign. Like it was absolutely horrendous, completely abhorrent behavior from the refereeing. And this is the type of refereeing that's been happening, officiating that's been happening against Cat. And to see them be able to overcome that, has been beautiful. And you bigged up the fans, Mensa. I'll also take a round to go pat on the back to this channel, to channels like KFTV, Knicks Fan TV, the Strickland, all the Hot Hand Theory, all of the content creators around the Knicks, even like Ian Begley in the putback and Dexter and what he's doing with New York's Got Game. Like, as independent content creators, we've been able to give the fan perspective, an analytical perspective based on the games we watch and the numbers that we tabulate, the numbers that we're able to analyze, right? Through statistical and through the eye test, we've been able to speak truth to power about this team, the good and the bad, to where you get an objective opinion. Yeah, I think Nick Wright is the one who said it, where, paraphrasing, I don't have to be free of bias. I just got to be real about the bias that I have when making an analysis, so that you know the biases are on the table, so you could take what we say however you're going to take it, but just know that, yeah, opinion wise, there may be some skewing here and there, but when it comes to actual factuals, nobody's doing it like the Knicks crew of content creators across the realm of the internet. So I definitely want to shout out everybody who has positively contributed to talk around this team and has given the perspective and has been able to shine a spotlight on these players. Because if this was 10 years ago, if this was 5 years ago, if this was 15 years ago, none of this would have happened, and you'd have just been a bunch of frustrated fans sitting at home like, why don't they speak about this? They don't really watch the games. They're not doing this. Well, now there are people with voices who could give you the real. So I definitely, on behalf of the content creators, I pat the back, I take the victory lap, because I think it is equally important to get fair, independent media to be able to speak about your team.
Yeah, man. And you really have to. I don't just watch basketball, right? I watch football, I watch baseball, I dabble in a little bit of football, soccer. And I can say that unequivocally, there's no fan base like the Knicks fan base. There's no community online like the Knicks community online, where, like, I'm a Mets fan, diehard Mets fan, diehard Jets fan, and there are content creators that I like in all of those realms. Don't get me wrong, but the volume of high quality content, there's nothing like the Knicks fan base. Nothing at all. And you're right. We should absolutely be proud of what we do here at Knicks Film School. I want to shout out Knicks Fan TV, the originators. I want to shout out the Strickland, guys like Hard Knicks Life, Locked On Knicks. Like, there's so many, like, the list goes on and on and on over the Knicks wall. What I Hate Sean does. He has the best Knicks space on the internet right now, right? Like, he's
Knicks at 6, Knicks at 1, Knicks whenever he's off work and ready to talk. Exactly. For real. Shout out Sean too. Yeah.
Does
Sean, Breeze,
job.
Brill, all y'all in the spaces. Sean, Post Game Prosperity, Knicks Wall. Shout out to them too.
Doing a great job, right? There's no fan base quite like ours. And we absolutely, when it comes to like the vote 3-for-1 days, I know I wasn't perfect with it. I did vote every day. But when I posted, like, hey, if I would see one, I would post one on the internet. Knicks fans, like, with big followings, were doing that. You know, like, nobody was too cool this time. One of my favorite things that Tyler the Creator once said is, some people are too cold, they freeze to death, right? We weren't too cool. We made it work. We made it happen. So definitely proud of us. And I just wanted to say one thing about Jaylen Brunson, who I know has a reputation for foul grifting. I would say the difference between him, and maybe this is me being a biased fan, but like, even watching guys like Trae Young play, Jaylen Brunson, yeah, he's aware that you're going to foul him, but Jaylen Brunson, in my opinion, is playing for the and one, not playing to just get fouled. You had guys like James Harden in their prime who were playing for the foul. You have guys like Trae Young right now who play to get fouled. Right? Like, that's not Jaylen Brunson's game. Jaylen Brunson is getting downhill, and he'll stop short, and you'll bump into him, but he's also trying to get the layup. You know, he's trying to get above you. Like, he's not necessarily like his because you have guys like DeMar DeRozan as well, right? Who doesn't have a reputation for foul grifting because he's so skilled, and he also plays for the and one. He wants you to hit him, but he's also not. That's not his goal. His goal is to go get 2 points. Same thing with Jaylen Brunson, and I think that people can't necessarily differentiate between that because of what guys like James Harden have done to that who've done to like the reputation of playing for the foul. At the end of the day, you do have a responsibility as an offensive hub to generate the most efficient offense for your team, and a lot of that has to come at the free throw line, right? So guys are going to do it. It's never going to get out of the game, but we can honestly differentiate guys between guys who play to get fouled and guys who are playing for the contact. To me, there are two different things there, and I did want to clear that up.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go to like advanced type stats, Brunson is 15th in field goal attempts per 100 possessions. He's 4th per game in the NBA in free throw attempts. Wait, did I do it right? Did I say free? Yeah. He's 4th in the NBA in free throw attempts. I think the advanced one is the per 100. He's 15th. At this point, I'm like, yo, it is what it is. Stop him. Y'all know what's coming to stop him. You know he's doing the Euro with the sweep through. Stop reaching, or hit the ball. Because when y'all reach and y'all hit his arm, it's gonna be a foul. Oh well, too bad, so sad. All right, let's get to the super chats. El Dontastico, thank you so much for the super chat. Potentially the best duo in the league. I think with Cat and Brunson, I think they have the ability to be the best. I know their points per possessions in pick and roll has kind of gone down by month, but they do have the potential there. That's what I'll say. They definitely have the potential to be one of the best duos. I still think they're figuring stuff out on offense, especially in clutch time. They're figuring out what they want to do and what they want to run. Sometimes I'll see Cat looking at Brunson like, yo, now do I go? Are we setting the pick? Like he wants to run the offense, and it seems like Brunson and Hart ease into it, and Cat wants to run it. So it's just like one of those little quirky things that I pick up on. But I do think they do have the potential to be the best duo in the league for sure. I will say, I think it happens once they start running more stuff for Cat and letting Cat be the initiator. If it opens up the whole floor even more than having him as a 3-point threat. And now with his thumb injury, as he mitigates that with whatever wrapping he has, whatever padding he's gonna get, he still can shoot. But now having the threat of Cat is just as important, and they need to maximize that. So yeah, I think they can potentially for sure be the best duo in the league.
Yeah, I'd say that they're the most synergistic duo, where like the best Karl Anthony Towns will bring the best out of Jaylen Brunson, because like you were saying, like as a passer, he can re-unlock Jaylen Brunson as an off-ball shooter, one of the best off-ball shooters in basketball. Haven't quite seen it this year because he's had so much of the burden initiating the offense. And like that pick and roll duo last year, Jaylen Brunson was number 1 in pick and roll ball handling frequency, and Karl Anthony Towns was like top. I think he was number 2 in like pick and roll points per possession as the roll man. We haven't really seen, and look, it's still dynamic, it's still dominant, but it hasn't quite clicked. I think you're seeing I'm seeing a lot of the same things that you're seeing right now. I would say the best duo in the NBA, you just got to give it to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because they just won the chip. But I do believe that Jaylen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, they have that Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic in the playoffs level of dynamicism to them. They just have to unlock it. So I think by next year, I'll be pounding the table that they're the best duo in the league. But right now, I'll just say they're the most synergistic. They have the best potential for chemistry, is what I would say.
Love it. Thank you, El Dantastico. Next, Dan Hidalgo. Why does it feel like JB has had a quieter season?
Yeah, I'll say it feels, because it does feel like that, definitely. What I think it is the expectations relative to the production, and I think a lot of that is due to the lack of 3-point attempts that we're seeing. Jaylen Brunson has taken a step back as a 3-point shooter in terms of volume. Not too crazy. Last year he was shooting 6.8 threes a game, so 7. This year he's shooting 6 threes, 5.9. But the Knicks as a whole are top 6. Last I checked, they were 6th in the NBA in 3-point field goal percentage, but like 25th in the NBA in 3-point field goal attempts. We know that Jaylen Brunson and the Knicks should be blowing the fucking doors off teams. Excuse my language, but they should be just destroying teams. We know that. But what it is we're kind of just seeing them like lays into things in terms of like the way they're running the half court offense. So it can feel a little underwhelming, but and then Jaylen Brunson just has that kind of game that it creeps up on you. Like Kevin Durant would score the quietest 40 points you've ever seen. Jaylen Brunson's giving people quiet 30s. Like he's not being loud about it. He's just going out there with the lunch pail and give you layup after layup after layup, hitting you with a step back 3. And because his baskets aren't as loud as they were last year, because he used to shoot a lot of 3s, and then having Dante there who was also shooting 3s, you were seeing less 3-point relative to talent is what I'll say. We're seeing not enough 3s that we want to see from the team, and that's what makes it feel underwhelming and quieter. But that's relative to expectation. When you actually look at the numbers, he's exactly where he's supposed to be. Career high in assists. I want to say this is the second highest, second highest points per game, 26 points a game. And then still with the elite offensive production, I think he is 91st percentile in offensive EPM, just playing great basketball. So we have to kind of temper our own expectations, because we're looking at a guy who's averaging 26 and 7, and we're saying he's not doing enough. And it's like, guys, he's good. He's good. But that is a feeling that I often have to temper with myself. So I'm not trying to like say, hey, Dan, you got to do better, because it does feel that way. But when you look at the numbers, it's like, nah, he's exactly where he needs to be.
Blame the personnel. I tell you that in a positive way, celebratory. Blame the personnel. Before the All-Star break last year, Jaylen Brunson, 27 points, 27.6 points. He was averaging around 3.8 boards, 6 assists. Post All-Star break, remember, this is after the trade. This is after Julius got hurt. This was after OG, I think, was out for a little while with the bone spurs in his elbow. Mitch was making his way back. What did Brunson do post All-Star? Averaged the second most points in the league behind Luka Doncic. He jumped from 27.6 to 31.1. 31.1, increased his field goal, his 3-point attempts and percentage. He was shooting about 42%. He was shooting 47% from the field. A few more percentage points better from 3. I started averaging more assists, a little less rebounds. The reason why it doesn't seem as quiet is because he had to loudly carry the team in the second half of the season while waiting for OG, potentially Julius, and for Mitch to get back, and for more trades to bring some type of help. We forget about that. We forget for the vaunted January that happened. Once the bone spurs happened for OG's elbow, and once Julius got hurt, we forget that this dude had to put the team on his back to the point where he willed himself to a top 5 MVP selection and should have been all NBA first team. Totally understand why Tatum eclipsed him. But I don't know. He made a much of a case, because I don't know how you feel, Mensa, but personally, I'm like, if somebody finishes top 5 in MVP but doesn't make the first team all NBA, and in a season where now it's positionless, so you can't say, okay, 2 guards were higher than him in the MVP race, so that's why he's in the second team. That I could totally understand. It was positionless. I don't know how, and I think there was a couple of national reporters who tried to explain why they did that. JJ Redick did it. He said he put Brunson top 5 MVP, but Jason Tatum first team All NBA. So I don't understand how those correlate, like how those don't correlate. Like, you think Jason Tatum would be better, is more deserving of a full, or any player is more deserving of first team All MVP than a guy that finished top 5 in MVP voting, unless they were 5 and 6 and the difference was like a coin flip. Then I can see how you're like, we'll compromise, but
you can't make sense of it because you cannot say that the fifth best player. I'm sorry, you can't say that the fifth best player in the NBA is sixth best in all that. Like what? Like because
it's bugged
all
out.
NBA second team is the 6th to 10th best players in the NBA now that it's positionless, right? So the 5 best players in the NBA are on all NBA first team. You said the 5th most valuable player in the NBA because you voted him 5th on your MVP ballot. How are you now going to turn around and say he's the 6th best player in the league? At least, at best, I'm sorry. At best, he's 6 through 10.
Right. And I think with the voting, that's exactly how it played out. He was the 6th. He missed. He was the closest to getting the all NBA first team.
Can't make it make sense.
You can't. I tried my best to use a logic game, play the logic game and see, hey, how is the way that we can legitimize this? But some people had it in their mind. So that's why, Dan, I think it feels quieter when he's actually playing better than he did last year. So I'll take that. I'll take quiet dominance over loud midness any day. Andrew Claudio, GMAC, thank you for the super chat. Let's go. Sup, fellas? Who do we like in the NFL games this weekend? Hashtag raise hell. Yo, my guy Andrew is going to find a winner, okay? He is going from bandwagon to bandwagon. NFC, I'm voting for a tie. Nah, you know what? If I go on my hate scale, then I'd probably be pulling for the Commanders because I hate them the least out of them in the Eagles. But you give me lines, you give me whatever. Philly should win this. Philly should win this. They play tight games. Philly should win this, but I would not be surprised if they did. And I'll say in the AFC Mensa, unless you find the Horcrux, whatever shaman put the Obia in Arrowhead, whoever it is that gave Pat Mahomes the dark hold, I'm not going against the Chiefs. They are the Batman 66 of the NBA, of the NFL. They're the Adam West Batman of the NFL, where they get put in some type of death-defying trap, and by next episode they get out of it. All them one-score wins, and they be getting calls. Come on, man. I think we're looking at Chiefs Eagles. We're looking at Chiefs Eagles. What about you?
Yeah, you got to go Super Bowl rematch here, Chiefs Eagles. I love Jayden Daniels. I really respect what Adam Peters has built over there with Dan Quinn. Really happy to see, especially for the Commanders fans who, and it's funny because as a Jets fan, so we played a close game with them the season before they drafted Jayden Daniels, and it came down to a field goal, a game-winning field goal the Jets make, right? The Jets missed that field goal. Jayden Daniels is not a Washington Commander, and maybe he's playing for a team like the Giants or something. Who knows? Because I don't remember how it would have fallen, but because my Jets are somehow involved in the success of the Commanders, I'm going to go, I would like to see the Commanders win. I will never in my life, I'm sorry, Dan Hidalgo, I see you in the comments saying you're a Bills fan. Nah, bro, I'm a Jets fan. I can't root for the AFC East here. So I'm going, I think Chiefs Eagles is the Super Bowl. I also just think the Chiefs and Eagles are the better teams, not just in terms of like who has the better quarterback, but what Brett Veach and the Chiefs have built over there is really, really, really impressive. They have a great offensive line. They have an all-pro on the defensive line in Chris Jones. They drafted a kid out of Washington at cornerback that's really good. Forgot his name. Nick Bolton, really solid defense for the Chiefs, which is something. And then even Steve Spagnuolo, a name that you recognize, Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Just that team is a wagon there. And they do have the best player in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. But if the Super Bowl that I would like to see is Chiefs Commanders, just so I can hear that Commander song. But I guess my answer is who I'm rooting for in the NFL games this weekend is the New York Knicks locker room, because we got 2 starters. Our 2 all-stars are Eagles fans, and our glue guy Josh Hart is a Commanders fan. He reminds us every time with that stupid ass hat. But
Yep.
I'm hoping that our locker room, comes out in one piece. I hope we come out unscathed. That's what I'm rooting for.
Facts. Yeah, man. So thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for your questions. Before we get out of here, Mensa, we got 3 games coming up before the next Casual Friday. Sacramento comes to town. Then Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. and the Memphis Grizzlies. And then Mr. MVP Jokic and the Denver Nuggets come into town. So this is a good 3-game slate against some of the upper echelon now. You like the Surging Kings, Memphis, who has been touted as top 5 for the whole season, and Denver, who still good, but you don't know which Denver team you're going to get. But they have been on the upswing too. And then, the day after Casual Friday, LeBron and the Lakers come to town. So we're entering a stretch right now where, for everybody who wanted signature wins and tests and whatnot, can I interest you in February? Because in February alone, they got the Lakers, the Rockets, the Celtics twice, Pacers. Well, I'll say who's been like leading. I'll count the West teams because they're the West, whatever. Lakers, Rockets, Boston twice. Gotta put Atlanta in there because by everybody's signature win logic, they're 6-2 against the top 3 in the East. So I guess by y'all logic, they gotta be like top 4 contenders as well. So if A plus B and B equals C, then A equals C. So that's what I'm going with with that theorem. Cleveland on the 21st. Then at Memphis. I didn't even see that to end the month. Wow, they play Memphis an exact month away from Monday. So that's gonna be a good test. Like they come out of the All-Star break, home for the Bulls, at Cleveland, at Boston, home for Philly, at Memphis, and then at whatever is left of the Miami Heat.
Yeah, the Knicks have a very hard Black History Month ahead of them. That's kind of crazy. So we're saying it's Sacramento, Memphis, and Denver
before the next Casual Friday.
I think we beat Sacramento. I think we beat Memphis. Honestly, I think we can beat all 3 of those teams. I'm going to go 2-1. I think we maybe lose to... No, because what the Knicks truly struggle with more than anything else is teams that have length, like multiple wings that they can throw at you. Like a team like Detroit, where they have Malik Beasley, they have Cade Cunningham, who's tall. They have the Ron Holland kid. They have Allstar Thompson. Like they have Tim Hardaway Jr. They have a lot of guys that they can throw at you, and they shoot a lot of threes. The Knicks get into a habit of playing 2 for 3, which is why you see a struggle with teams like Atlanta and Detroit, teams that we're better than, but are just bad fits for us. I don't think that the Kings are a poor fit against us because while Keegan Murray is a good basketball player, DeMar DeRozan plays into our hands defensively. And De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, we have better players than them, and Jaylen Brunson and Karl Towns. So I think we take that one. Keon Ellis is going to be a pest to Jaylen Brunson, but we saw Jaylen Brunson obviously put him to sleep and blow right by him in a game. So I like us to beat the Kings. The Memphis Grizzlies, yeah, they're not really one of those teams that has a lot of wings that they can throw at you. It's another team.
Play great defense, but but it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting style matchup. I'll say that.
Sure. But I think they're solvable, is what I'll say. Athletically, we can solve that problem. Denver owes us one because we beat the pants off of them the last time we played. So I expect them to be a little more motivated. And a motivated Jokic is curtains most nights. So maybe, I'll go 2-1. I think we'll beat Sacramento. I think we will beat Memphis. We'll probably lose to Denver because we owe them one. So I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that Memphis Denver is going to be a split one way or another. And the Kings, I think the Kings are beatable. I don't know if the Kings are, let me check them real quick.
The Kings
Is
are
this
they're playing great. I think they're like 10-2 in their last 12.
Oh yeah, no, they're balling. I'm just seeing if there's gonna be a rest advantage or a rest disadvantage. No, they played Denver. They played at Denver yesterday, so they're probably here now. Oh yeah, they're for sure here now because they're doing New York, Brooklyn, Philly. They're here.
Yeah.
So they're probably in the city now. Then they play tomorrow evening. Then Monday evening they play Brooklyn, and then Wednesday they play. Yeah, they play the Sixers. So they're on like a 5-6 game road trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
first game of the road trip,
the
they should
loop.
have energy. But the Knicks, we haven't played in like 4 or 5 days, so we have
Right.
the rest advantage. And I'm expecting. I think the Knicks are just a better team. Just
For sure.
flat out. So I expect us to win that game, and then they'll collect their wins on the East Coast when they play Philly, when they play Brooklyn. But they're gonna lose to the Knicks for sure.
Mensa, this was beautiful, bro. Got to celebrate the All-Star selections with
Yes,
you.
sir.
Always good to see you on the show, my dude. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at More Like Mensa. Me and another guy on this channel, Sean with the W. We host and Chris Russianen as well. He's in and out sometimes. We host a Twitter space called KFS Study Hall. I'm one of the chaperones. We're trying to build that platform up. I'd love to see you guys come in and have conversation with us. It's maybe the one Knicks Film School platform where we consistently invite the fans to have their perspective and have a little back and forth with them. So that's really what I've been heading up this season. We do it on weekends, either on Saturday or Sunday. This week we'll be doing it on Sunday. So you guys can look out for us there. We try to make that happen every weekend. Other than that, I'm on Twitter just chopping it up with you guys and on Blue Sky as well. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right, y'all. Jeff J says all social media. Jeff J says on YouTube where you consume content. I'll be right there. Thank you for tuning in to Knicks Film School Casual Friday Live. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody who sent your super chats and your questions. We appreciate you. Definitely send this video, like this video, replay gang, get in the comments. We be watching, we be answering, we be talking about it. So we like to keep the conversation going. So if you love this content, share it with a friend, share it with a fellow Knicks fan, share it with an NBA fan because we talk about the Knicks and the NBA here as well. So definitely tap in with us. Thank you for the support. Enjoy your Friday. That is Mensa. I'm Jeff, and you were amazing. This has been Casual Friday. Until next time, go Knicks.